Hello, storytellers, storytelling Ron. I'm watching Professor Dungeon Master just to get some RPG vibes going. While I'm just sitting here, and this comes up. So he's talking about simple dungeons, like on a postcard or on his 2-page spread, and I like that too. I like having all the info right there for the dungeon. I don't like all this fluff of a ton of stuff. But he said something here that kind of amazed me, and I knew I've been preaching, and then he just affirms it because he's secular or something. I don't know if he's Christian. He certainly doesn't say it, and we're supposed to say it anyway. I don't know if he is. I don't think so. Anyway, the situation 2 days ago. He has his little adventure here, 2-page spread. 2 days ago, a merchant caravan was attacked by fungus-licking cannibal cult. That is a perfect encounter in a Christian role-playing game in the Dark Ages. Fungus licking, absolutely. Cannibal cult. I've seen that. I've seen that in South American religions and cultures, and it certainly must have been in the European back before the church spread and wiped them all out. Anyway, Manfred Munchberger, head of the Merchants Guild, hires the PCs to rescue his family members and retainers before they are eaten by the cult. Place the hostages as you wish randomly. Okay. So, and then he says, well, why are they doing it? To get money. It's all about a reward. It's all about getting money. That's every game. Every game is about finding hostages and rescuing them and getting money. That's it. That's the entire concept of the RPGs, of the pagan RPGs without Christianity. You just go and get treasure and upgrades, and then you upgrade and you get more powerful. Then you go fight more powerful creatures and stuff. And so it's all about having these fun stories, and this adventure, and just keep challenging yourself to go up further and create and role play and journey. So it's fun. I get it. It's very addictive. I love it. And I created for the little RPG to get all that and more, way more. As a Christian, and this is real life too. When you're a pagan, you just want more money. You want more power. You want more control. You want what the serpent told Eve. You can be your own God. You don't have to listen to God. That's why the left and pagans love government. They love to make laws and regulations and tell you how to live your life. They swarm to the big cities. They swarm to the halls of governance. They swarm to the city councils and the school councils. Democrats, people who want to control your life, swarm to the Democrat Party and are on the left. And communism, Marxism. They want nationalized everything. The reason that the law enforcement is failing locally is because they secretly want nationalized police. They want nationalized socialism, and they want nationalized police. Even though they're complaining about Trump, they truly want that. They want ineffective local law enforcement. So they're doing it whether they know it or not. In their hearts, they're destroying the cities on purpose. If we ever got into a civil war, I guarantee you, California, the Democrats will get China to help them in war. I guarantee it. Anyway, let's get back to some fun role-playing, huh? So when you do a regular secular pagan role-playing game, you just work and do some great works and get rewards. That's it. That's the game, and that's life. That's the kind of life we have. If the church recedes from the culture, we will have a Roman slave caste system life again. Perversions, everything, because there is no morality. And when you have your own morality, you can vote in slavery. I mean, they'll call it indigenous right to work law. I don't know what the heck, this whole illegal aliens and indigenous thing or whatever. It's just all like slave. It's a slave caste system. I mean, obviously they want whites to be slaves now, but the whole RPG is just that. And so for Christians, when you say, oh, I'm going to play a good character, that's not Christianity. Saying I want to do good stuff in a role-playing game or joining a pagan group and being good and then worshiping, a God that's good, that's not Christianity. You worship Jesus Christ, period. You say his name in the real world and in the fantasy world. And by the way, fantasy is something Christians created. Pagans didn't create fantasy. For them, elves, dwarves, gnomes, giants, goblins were real. The spirits of the forest were real. They didn't fantasize it. It was us Christians who turned them into stories. We took their religion the Greek mythologies and the pagan Germanic mythologies that they feared. They feared them. They worshipped and feared those spirits. We Christians took it and made fun stories called fantasy. But we also had Christianity in it too. And we use Christian allegory and symbolism. But today, pagans are using the fantasy that we created, and they're turning it into a religion again, but into a fun, happy, dappy. At the Barnes & Noble here at the Grove in Hollywood, they have witchcraft books. They look like role-playing game books, the way they design them and the covers and stuff. And it's a whole huge section. It's like 2 big walls with a bunch of displays, and it's all about witchcraft. And it's right next to the children's and Harry Potter. If you go to the Harry Potter wall, you turn around, it's all this witchcraft stuff that you can have for your fun self. And it's all very graphically colorful. Do some tarot card reading. Have fun with this, have fun with that. So they have co-opted the Christian way of doing things, family friendly, initially, and they're selling you that. So they're selling their kids that too. And in their hearts, the pagans and the wicked and the Democrats have to do that. They have to. God programmed them that way. I know, like, oh, dang, you can't see it. Prove me wrong. You all believe in abortion, sex outside of marriage, evolution, or anything variation of that. Anything but God. Islam, Hinduism is fine. Buddhism is fine. Marxism is fine. Paganism, and then Jesus is love thing, where he doesn't judge you or pronounce hell and heaven. That's fine. Changing God is fine, but not the Bible. Not the Bible. Not Jesus Christ of the Bible. The God of the Word. No. So the role-playing games is about playing and doing good works. My role-playing game, if you encounter a fungal-licking cannibal cult, yes, you get to go fight them, and you get to go rescue the hostages. You get to do all that. Okay, and they'll even have beasts in the game. So in my game, you can have beasts. You can have in the Apostles, in the Christian space, you can have all kinds of mutated creatures and genetically modified and radioactive and zombies and all that. In the Dark Ages, you can kind of go a little. I try to stick to like European, the church history there, because the churches were wiped out in Africa and the Middle East, so there's not much there for the story initially. But in Europe, you can do all kinds of fun stuff, and fungal licking cannibal cults, definitely. And you can have creatures that they have given the fungus and drugs to, because pagans are very much into drugs. Way into drugs. I'm going to say it again. The love potion was the number one drug the pagans had, the witches, in Europe. In Europe, during the church history, it was the number one drug. What is it? And why do we gloss over it? It's the rape drug. Witches created the rape drug and sold it to men who would poison women with the rape drug and rape them. Once they're raped, because of the society and because of the Christian society, and remember, they accepted the rape, right? They didn't understand what happened to them. They got drugged without knowing it, and they had these feelings, and they got, it could be ecstasy, or it could be they got knocked out. But once they're impregnated by this malicious man, they own him. Because of the culture, because they accepted a drink by this man. Okay, so the whole concept of paganism is manipulation and power. It's Satanism, it's Paganism, it's Islam, it's secularism. It's about power. It's about controlling someone, stealing from them, taking advantage of them. I call it a life cheat. Everything pagans want, Satanists want, secularists want, are life cheats. They want to cheat. They want to lie, cheat, and steal. Look at the Democrat Party, the corruption that's been going on, and Doge is exposing, and Trump is exposing. They have monumentally shifted the wealth of us into their NGOs and become millionaires and super rich and elitists, white liberal elitists in their gated communities, because of their taking our money for their agenda and continually feeding their agenda of the Antifa and all this stuff. They don't care. And I accept that. I accept that the Democrats, including close family members of mine, don't give a fuck about us. They want their power. They want their steal, their grift. They want to be their own little gods. They want to murder the unborn and move on up. Not much better. Role-playing games. is about them wanting to do the same thing, getting their rescuing the hostages, getting their win. But what do we Christians want to do in life and in the game? We want to rescue the hostages and the cult, but then we want to investigate. Why is this cult here? Why were they so powerful? Why were they able to get these hostages? Who's allowing them to exist? What kind of the pagans in their storytelling don't want to tell you this, but the truth of the matter is these cults exist because the culture allows them to exist. And so in my game, you actually have to go and investigate what their connection is with the village or the nearby people. Why are they allowing them to be here and taking in hostages and sacrificing people? So there's a whole nother level. And then you have to change the hearts and minds of the people. As Christians, the game is about changing the hearts and minds of the people, but there's going to be violence. You're going to have confrontations. You're going to fail and end up killing people as a Christian, missionary or whatever. But the goal is not to do that. The goal is to change the hearts and minds of people so this doesn't happen again. In a pagan adventure, you get your rescue, you get your reward, and you just go on. You don't care. They can start up again. Then rinse and repeat, and you can get another reward. Let people suffer. Because all you're in for it is your own grift. And that's the pagan world as returning. It's always there. It's always in the shadows. It's always in the power play of Europe and church history and the world. We are all by default pagans. I, in my sin, want power over you. I want to control you. The reason I can say that out loud and truthfully is because I've repented to Jesus Christ. You pagans won't ever admit it, but you absolutely believe what I believe. You want power over others. Pagans will never tell the truth. The Democrats will never tell the truth. Will they ever, as an evil, wicked people, will they ever apologize for slavery? Or will they pretend there's a party switch and blame it on Republicans? The good. Evil will never take responsibility for what they do. They will always turn it on you, and blame you for it. They're evil. And that's what Democrats are doing today, all throughout politics. Their insidiousness. I'm here in California, man. I'm getting, we're getting cut by 1,000 slices with all the regulations, all that's been happening here. It's just, it's like tiring. It's kind of, you win, so what is my answer now? So my answer is I'm trying to get people to play a Christian role-playing game in Fellowship. It's a little, I don't know if it's a harder game, but it's just, I do add elements in it that make it more so that you can play the characters longer and really, really delve into them. And I think what I don't have is a lot of adventures for you all to follow and do and practice with. So I'm sort of tinkering with that. But I'm just kind of trucking along. Actually, what I've been focusing on is a local church. That's the true answer. The true answer is to get back to church, and for Christians to get loud and obnoxious and the commission because you love Christ everywhere you go, including in games. Make your characters say Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. Do it. Stop doing what they want, which is doing good works and looking good and worshiping a sun god who's all light. No, worship Jesus Christ. In the game, have a character that's Christian. Oh, I can't sit in the world. I don't care. I don't care what world it is. They, in the Forgotten Realms, there's a clause in there for the unknown God, actually, that you can bring in an unknown God, and that unknown God is Jesus Christ. So, but I prefer earth-based for me because I'm not that smart, so I need to keep it simple. And, the Bible is relationship with earth history. So that's why I like to do role-playing games that are more stuck on earth. And there's plenty of them out there that are like that. So, and they, of course, erase Jesus Christ. Even the ones that are on earth, they don't want your Jesus Christ in it. They want to erase that. So that's what I find annoying. But the essential part of being a Christian, a true Christian for you and me, is evangelism and church planting. Church planting, the church is the bride of Christ. Christ said this is what you do. From Acts to Revelations, what's it talking about in the entire time in every letter of the New Testament, from Acts to Revelation? It's talking about church. It's talking about church. Jesus talks about church, at the end, like, this is what you guys need to do. Church is what would Jesus do? This is a silly saying, but what would Jesus do? That is absolutely, to me now, I mean, I'm not going to give Christians a hard time about it, but I am. Only to teach them a lesson that I'm so contentious and harsh and annoying. What would Jesus do is a completely blasphemous thing to say. in my harshness, because he already did it. He's finished. It's finished. What would Jesus do? He already did it. If you're asking what would Jesus do, then you don't know. He already did it. It's now the church, us. We need to be part of a church. So you need to be a part of a church. Start this gaming group there. Make sure you get permission from the pastor and the elders and deacons and the time to do it, and then just sit there and let people know, and hopefully people will show up. But don't intimidate or push or anything, people. But start a game, or start a pickleball league at your church, or a ukulele group at your church, or a fishing group, or a hunting group, or a political group. Engage whatever you want to do at your church. So find a local church. Make sure that the pastor, when he does a sermon, he does it like this. Oh, we're going to talk about Acts 14. Here we go. Make sure that the Bible leads him in the sermon, not he decides how you should be a Christian. I don't think a pastor should teach you how to be a Christian. This teaches you how to be a Christian. This, if you can read this and understand it, you will become a Christian. Catholics don't read the Bible, so they don't really learn how to be a Christian. And I'm not trying to dog Catholics. I do love Catholics, and they're the least of my worries. But there's so much in here that the Catholics, I'm an ex-Catholic. I never read the Bible when I was a Catholic. I never read the Bible. And that's a bummer, because man, I'm reading God and what he says. Like in Job, when he says man up, he says, gird up your loins. Oh, that's even talking about the crotch, and you're, gird up your loins. Have some balls. God says that. Have some balls, man. He says gird up your loins. That's right there. Loins is your balls, and your God is telling man, freaking be a damn man. God, our God. Do you even know that? Do you know that he says that in here? That's to me annoying that we, Catholics or even Christians don't even know that. He says, get some balls. Our Jesus, our God, says that. Love is love. No, he says, get some balls. Is that the right term? Whatever. Man up. And I love that about our God. So, your pastor's, his goal or his primary whatever is to teach you how to read the Bible, to give you agency, so that you reading this, I got to go do something for the Lord. This is so cool. I got to do something for the Lord, man. So, and I'm providing a game that I think would be cool for you to do, but again, at your church. So I'm actually going to become a member next Sunday. They're going to vote me in. Now, if they don't vote me in, I'll come back here and cry and start over again. But I'm assuming I'm going to get voted in. And then and by the way, I just moved churches because of this revelation I have that I need to. I was at a bigger church, mega church, and I felt it feels a little too safe there for me, or I wasn't really connected with the. They do good stuff there, as far as they do the whole pastorship and church planning, but I wasn't really part of that. It's very like academic and pastoral. And I was not really, I'm kind of more, whatever. I made attempts to engage in different things, but it was kind of, waiting list and things like that. So I was like, man, I really want to get more engaged in a church. And then it's kind of far. It's only 30 minutes, but the traffic can make it 45 and blah, blah, blah. And I learned that this local church, the pastor from this local church, 7 minutes away here in Hollywood, and Hollywood being target rich environment, he's from my church, so my previous church. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got to check this out. And I could take my game there. I could help them because I know they're struggling, and they've been there a while. So I want to go and help and just help them. I want to start some groups there. I want to start a ukulele group. I don't even know how to play it, but I want to. I'm gonna do open mic with a younger guy there. We're gonna start an open mic. We're in Hollywood. I'm like, we gotta have a comedian, draw some Christian, family-friendly comedian, musical performing people in, and fellowship and guide them and help them, bring and give them the word too. I'm going to sneak in the word every now and then with them, with whoever shows up. So I'm going to do, I don't know which ones are going to work, which ones aren't, but I'm going to try different things. And I'm going to go through the church's pastor and deacons, and I have to get it permission to do it. That's right. I want to be, that's what a church is too, refining your attitude, your arrogance, so that, it works with everybody there, works with me. I'm not too contentious and harsh about it. I'm going to work with other people. That's really important, because if you go to yourself, you can get puffed up with conceit. And I was doing this on my own, and realizing, or not. And then and what's funny is I was completely content with doing it on my own, not through the church. And then I went to my previous church's biblical mission conference, and that's where they pounded that, hey, you can't do this, you can't do missions on your own. You have to do it through the church. I'm like, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. My dog better not potty on stuff. He's inside today because it's raining, but I see him over there. No potty, Marley. Don't be potting. Probably already did it. Anyway, so through the church, I'm going to hopefully do a game, set up a crew, or maybe everything I do there will fail, and I'll janitor, or whatever. But I want to try to help the church grow in Hollywood. So hopefully, I'll be helpful, and I think the pastor's looking forward to it. But we're going through the process. I got to go through the process and be patient, and that's what you all need to do. But you need to find a church that, he and I had many talks now, like group therapy. I don't do therapy, but we do talks about the Bible, about Jesus Christ. That's my therapy. And he wanted to confirm, the pastor needs to confirm that you're of the church's belief, and of the Bible, of this belief that we follow. Not his belief, of the church, the biblical beliefs that we follow, and what I expected him to follow too. I said a couple of things there. Well, if you don't believe this, I'm out of here, and I knew he did, but I said that once during a men's group, and they were like, "Oh, what?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, but I'm kind of like that, just state the obvious, and no one else, and then it's not so obvious because everyone's surprised by it." So, but I'm just trucking along, and Christian role-playing games, we get to do fight the cult, get the reward, then give it to the church, build a church, role-play building a church, role-play evangelizing. We get like 17 other things we can do in the game that the pagans don't get. We can do everything they do. We even murder hobo. You know why we murder hobo? Because sometimes we lose it. And I push the players to that brink where they lose it and start just killing all the cult members or whatever. And I like that. Not that I don't like that they murder hoboing, but I like that we show that the frustration that even Christians can have as human beings, and they just lose it. And I get it. And it should be if I want Christians to go through this process where they get frustrated, so that, and they see this and they sort of fail in this silly little game, so that when they do it themselves out there, they're going to know, oh no, they got to calm down. But the other thing is they know is that throughout history, there's so much of us like having guilt about what Christians have done in the past, and because the left, the wicked will continually call that out, but they will never call out the massive genocidal marks of Marxism and Islam and paganism. They're not going to mention any of that, but that little Christian failures. Oh yeah, let's get a magnifying glass on that and expose it. And then we Christians are like, oh yeah, we were, we did these things. And I even in my men's groups in the church, the men there are like, oh, we did this. And I'm like, slow down there. Slow down. We did this, but we were going up against this, like we were talking about the Crusades, and they were being a little defensive about, well, we kind of, overdid some of the, I'm like, no. We were surrounded and butchered and attacked. And then when we won, they went a little murder hobo, but that's out of their frustration for seeing their own brothers dying, left and right of them because of the ambush or the trap or the, or the siege or whatever. So I'm very much like, you cannot do this thing where we continually backtrack or on defensive with what Christians have done throughout history and church history, because we went up against such wicked evilness that was two-faced and deceptive and pretended to be good and then stabbed you in the back, all the time, so that we Christians had a very hard time discerning who amongst them would even follow through with their surrender agreements and stuff, and I continually hear how the Crusaders and Templars too, or even America, how we reneged on some of the contracts, or not contracts, the diplomacy, diplomacy and diplomatic. Then the America would renege on it and betray. And I'm like, what? Bull crap. Because the left paganisms have no solid, promise. They'll sign anything and immediately betray it. Islam will sign anything. Hamas will sign anything and immediately betray it as soon as they get a chance. So I'm so annoyed that now the left doing it is fine. That's what I expect that. But the right or the Christians doing it and feeling guilty about it is really what I find. I get angry, sadly, and I don't look. It's not a good look, but I get angry and contentious with my fellow Christian men who aren't bold and strong and zealot for the Lord. I am zealot and crazy for the Lord, and I do not apologize for the Templars, the Crusades, the witch trials. They were right. They were correct. I do not apologize for like McCarthy or America or colonialism. Colonialism is right. It was actually right. So I don't apologize for any of that. I don't apologize for Christian nationalism. I find Christians who are defensive or evasive about Christian nationalism I find them to be cowards. And if you're one of them, I find you to be a coward for the Lord. You're a coward for the Lord, is kind of a thing. So I'm harsh, but because the reason is I don't care. Christian nationalism is wrong. There's no definition. The left just throws that out like they do in fascism and Nazism. Fascism is an elusive definition as well. They use it to call us that just so that we don't, we're on defensive. I don't care. For a Christian to run down a rabbit hole to try to find that Christian nationalism that the left threw down there means that the Christian is just dirty and stuck in a hole, whereas I'm trying to stand out there and fight against the left and the wicked. So yeah. Anyway, just my little rant. I'm a little I don't know what the word is. And it's happening right now. I'm a little sort of spread out in my thoughts lately, so I think I just need a big long vacation. Anyway, all right, in the game of life, everybody. And I'm should be starting up the church stuff next weekish, or at least starting to work on it. So maybe that's where I'm in a holding pattern probably. Anyway, in the game of life, everybody, roll holy dice.